Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Pi Project. The Pi Project was conceived to celebrate ordinary lives who lead extraordinary stories and have such extraordinary experiences that would inspire anyone who's listening to it. So, the idea is to invite guests who will share their stories in very vulnerable ways. And the hope is that anyone who's listening to it is inspired to stay resilient, to find their inherent power, which is within them. So today I have a very special guest. That's Sonali Mahanti. Welcome, Sohani.
Thank you, Priya. You.
Sonali is based in Goa and she is branding manager who runs her own organization called Greycat Digital. And I'd let her sort of share two bits about what you do now, Sonali, and what's it like in Goa. I know you're based there now.
Well, working remotely has its perks. So living in Goa, especially now during the monsoon, beautiful and it's such a green city. There's no noise, so it's just very grounding as an environment to be in. Highly recommend.
So tell us a little bit, Sonali, about what you do now in terms of your work.
So Greycat Digital is a branding company, and we specifically work with sustainable, ethical brands who have an impact on the world. We also offer digital marketing, but we're actually trying to get out of it at this time because the landscape is changing so much with AI, and it's just not something that I want to do anymore. It's keeping up with all of the trends can be quite tedious. So right now our focus is more towards branding and storytelling and to humanize businesses more than ever. I think the need to humanize businesses right now is quite large.
That's interesting. And thank you for sharing because perhaps the word humanize is where we connected in terms of the work that we do. And Sonali's helped Orenda and the Pi project itself a lot. But she has lived very extraordinary life. And so I'd love to hear, Sonali, is in what extraordinary ways are you living your life now?
Honestly, I've sort of disassociated with the past to a large degree and identity has collapsed. I think that has been the biggest part of this journey is to understand that law is impermanent. Then nothing is truly permanent. Not our identity, not our perspective. Nothing. Something that is today might not be there tomorrow. I think I live by that right now.
I know that you dip into practices of meditation and yoga that's also supported you so you can live in extraordinary ways now. But to be able to live that, to arrive at this understanding or realization that nothing is permanent and we just have to live in the present and it's very liberating is what you said. So something has led up to you arriving at this realization. So what was it that brought you to this path or brought you here? Where did you start? What brought you here?
I went to Pune for my post graduation and directly got placed over there. And culture was cutthroat, the startup culture. There's so much of competition. I think, in short, it is an ego driven environment. Everybody wants to look good, everyone wants to feel good, we want to be thought of well. And at the time, I didn't know any better. I was a part of the competition and I didn't like losing, very competitive. I think I just went into it full power, just without thinking, no thought put into it whatsoever. It's just the sort of people that I was surrounded with. They were beautiful, highly intelligent people, but it was an alcohol driven culture. I think that was the turning point for me. It became a lifestyle just all the time. I think being in a low vibrational frequency like that, you just stop thinking for yourself. You're on autopilot. Looking back, I think it was just a very manipulative environment. We had very strange rules. Women had to have their nails painted at all times. If we didn't, we would be fined. All of us had to live within certain radius of the office, be ready to report at any point of time. And I was the assistant to the founder when I joined. The most amount of responsibility fell on my head because at any given time, I had to be him in his absence. And yeah, people really don't like you when you're in that kind of a position. I think just being in that position, I did get to spend a lot of time with every single person on our team. So I did have a very special relationship with everybody because when I connect with a person, it's on a very personal capacity. I love holding space for people as you do. So in that sense, I did make some really good friends. But despite that, nobody could really see what was happening underneath all of the layers because everybody was under the same influence. We were all functioning from a place of fear that if we don't get it done, there will be consequences. And when we're driving in that energy, I think we would have done anything to make anything happen. Whether you have to rob a bank or you have to do something wrong. There were no morals.
Mhm.
There were no morals. It was just very cutthroat. So then I think just 6, 7 years just went off like that. And when I finally looked back, I saw that I was unconscious. There was no awareness whatsoever.
Mm.
Zero awareness. Yes, everyone is intelligent, academic, and educated, but it made no difference. None of these people made any real difference in the world. Like looking back, that's what I realized because they are all out for their own benefit, driven by greed.
So success at whatever cost.
Yeah.
You have been very successful because you did very well for yourself. And from an outside perspective, here's Sonali, who's very successful at such a young age, right? But beneath that, it was not quite the same. What else was unsettling for you, though you appeared successful outside?
After I finished with the startup culture, overnight I was unemployed and I joined a corporate.
Hmm.
When I joined the corporate is when I actually saw the culture of what it's like to work. In contrast, it was very punishable. If you're late to work, there would be screaming and yelling. We all lived under fear.
Quite toxic.
So it's very, very.
At an impressionable age that you are in, yeah, you really don't know, is this normal? And it's your first job, right? Is this normal? I'm feeling something, but what's being accepted as and normalized is something
Yeah.
else. Can I call this out? What were some of those moments like for you?
If I called it out, people wouldn't hear. They probably heard just the words, but not the depth of what I was trying to say. If I did try to tell anybody about it, it was taboo. It is like, how can you talk about this? If this happened to you, you have to just don't tell anybody. It wasn't accepted. It felt a lot like gaslighting, what they call it today. I started to believe that, okay, I am wrong.
Almost sounds like it's abusive, right? The relationship with the work that you had. We talk about one-to-one relationship. I think relationship with you and your work also can be abusive where you start to doubt yourself. And this is so hard, right, Sonali, even now, as you're talking about it, as you're sharing it. My deepest acknowledgement for what you've been through and your courage to speak up about the challenges. It's not easy.
It was actually when I watched the Jeffrey Epstein documentary that I actually coined the word grooming. It was manipulative, Priya. There's just no other way to put it.
Mhm. And today you're here talking about it, Sonali,
It's,
because there is some processing that has happened from your end, right? Though it does bring up emotions. At that point in time, you realize talking about emotions, oh my God, we don't talk about these things. Only thing people will say, just get on with life,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Don't feel so much.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. That's exactly what they said. Yeah.
yeah, you're exaggerating. This happens
Yeah.
everywhere. Somehow, people just rationalize it and take away your experience, which is true and real for you. And a fundamental human need is to be seen and to be heard. I really want to talk about how that phase of your life, right? I know it a lot of scars and you are deeply impacted. But how did you reclaim your life? And the way that you're living today is quite different from how it was then, right? So, how did you reclaim yourself, your identity, who you are, and who you're becoming, Sonali?
Yoga really, really, really changed my life. It was just starting with basic movement because up until that point, like at least during those years, I stopped eating, I stopped exercising, I stopped drinking water, just basic human needs were ignored for a very long time. And when I started doing that again, you start to feel good because it doesn't really take a lot to feel good. It's like eat, drink water, and exercise.
Mm.
Everything else will follow. And I
Mm.
think that was the first time that I felt like, you know what, where did my anxiety go? I was just hungry. And yeah, so I think just being hungry for 10 years was not fun. And then
Mm.
after that, suddenly getting these basic needs fulfilled, it just changed everything. It just became more mindful, more present. And I think meditation, it really, really made all of the difference. All of the difference was just being able to sit, not resorting to coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms is all of us have it in one way or another. Somebody might be eating junk food, somebody might be smoking, somebody might be drinking. And I realized, you know what, let's just not do anything and see what happens. But looking back, you just needed to be seen and held, as you said, validated. And it's
Mm.
just because you were told, no, you're wrong, you shouldn't speak. That also amounted to so much of pain, layers of pain. Because I think it made me function on the frequency of shame. I felt ashamed for so long, and then I didn't. And my hope is that honestly, after today's episode, I never want to speak of it again. This is something that I've put for myself. Is when I tell my story, it's so it can be heard, and so I don't have to look back because I don't like identifying with that version of myself. Because when you're in survival, I think that's just what happens, and I'm not the only one that's probably gone through this. There must be millions and millions of people in the
Yes.
world that think that, oh my God, if I don't do this, the world's going to come to an end. Things will come to you on their own. You will start to attract what is truly meant for you. And that has really helped me.
And
And
so that restores the faith
yeah,
and the hope, right? That just sit with it. So they often say, right, the way to clarity is not around chaos, but through it. And it's very easily said, but I'm sure, like you said, Sonali, there are hundreds and millions of people who deal with shame, who feel it difficult to speak out. uh, It erodes who they are. But I'd really like for your story to inspire people to say there is, you may go up to the edge, right? Like you said, I felt shame and then I didn't. And I think that's a beautiful space, painful, not easy, but the truth is it's possible to go up there and to come back. What would you say is the power that's inherent in you that you were able to tap into?
I think first and foremost was just being in a safe environment where I know that, okay, no one's going to come to get you, and connecting with myself. Just, I think silence helps a lot, like actual silence, just no music, nothing, just
Mm.
stillness
Mm,
has strengthened my connection to my intuition to a degree that I'm so proud of myself today, Priya.
absolutely. Just listening to how you were able to reclaim and connect, right? Connect with yourself. And I'm hearing three words here. You were able to connect through silence and stillness, through knowing that it's important to listen to your intuition, and you're an intuitive person, someone who is an empath, right? Someone who is very connected to others, usually are very intuitive, and you were able to connect to it. See, a lot of us have intuition, but we don't listen.
Hmm.
We don't follow what the intuition is telling us. It's a very quiet
Hmm.
voice, somewhere from somewhere, right? And that quiet voice can be heard only in stillness. So, stillness, intuition. And I loved what you said about being grounded, staying in a safe place, feeling grounded. That's the only way to grow. You don't grow
Yeah.
in chaos. You don't grow in a threatened environment. You have now become, the past is there to tell you how strong you are today, but the past is not here to influence you in ways that pull you back, right? It's propelling you to move forward.
Yeah.
That's a great
Very
space to
much,
be
very much, very much. I think it was this Eckhart Tolle book that I was reading, The Power of Now.
now. Yeah, my favorite.
It's such a beautiful book, and I think it resonated with me so much because when he said, if you're going to be present, how do you deal with your past?
Hmm.
And basically, your past will show up in your present moment, whether you like it or not, and that's how
Hmm.
you deal with it. When it shows up, don't go searching for it,
Hmm.
and it will ultimately resolve itself. And that's what I've kind of allowed to happen. And which is why I'm so grateful that we've started the Pi project. Grateful to you to whole space for people to tell their stories, and I've just not met anybody like that, Priya. And I
Mm.
didn't know people like you and Ramesh existed in the world.
It's all serendipity, right? I don't
Yes.
believe that we didn't meet for no reason. And I'm talking about anybody we meet. They all come to into our lives with a purpose. If we can recognize what that purpose is, then we can live it well. So if there are people out there, Sonali, life's a journey. We are work in progress. You know, like you said, past comes, goes, but we don't hold on to it. It still is not as, it doesn't have such strong hold over us. Each of us have stories, different stories. Right? So if there was some message that you want to give out to people who have lived in toxic environments and unknowingly, unconsciously lived in shame, what would be something that you'd like to tell them? What would be a message?
Don't let society silence you. If it's your truth, if it is your lived experience, you have to own it. You have to speak it, even if it's not accepted. You know,
Mm, mm,
who denied you your reality? And because in triggers, I feel is where expansion lies.
beautiful. Mm. And each of us have our own ways of getting to that space, right? Some of our, we may get to that plays a little faster, sometimes slower. Doesn't matter. In the longer span of things, you'll get where you need to get. That's a conviction that I have too, that if you're willing to live your, speak your reality, if you're willing to stand in your power, like you said, that's just beautiful. If you can stand in your power, it would really doesn't matter whether they've heard you or not, because you know your truth.
Exactly.
And your truth now has made you strong. Yeah. So a big call out to anyone who's experiencing, after listening to this, is experiencing challenges, is going through shame. Don't let, like Sonali said, society or societal conditioning constructs hold you back. If it's your lived experience, it's worth working.
So I think there are so many people, sexual abuse survivors, basically,
Mm,
that function from a place of shame. There are women that I know myself that have gone through really, really dramatic stuff, but they've stayed silent and they've just moved on with their life because
mm,
I see shame. They know it. They know it. I know it. It's there. It's just not your fault. Is what I want to tell people that have gone through something like this. That it wasn't your fault. You weren't
mm.
asking for it. It wasn't your fault.
And you didn't know better at that point in
You
time.
know
I
any
mean,
better.
yeah.
Don't keep it inside you. It needs a place to live outside your body.
What's the one thing that you're grateful for, Sonali, in this journey?
I'm grateful for everything, Priya. I'm grateful for everything. I live in a bubble of gratitude right now. Just looking back, I'm like, I'm just so grateful to be able to see clearly today.
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the people I speak to. I'm grateful for the food I eat. I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful to be alive in this human body, able to experience life.
Yeah.
And it's just such a gift.
More power to you, Sonali. Sometimes, we said, right, you don't meet people just, there's no coincidence. I believe that we meet each other, whoever it is, for a purpose, right? And it's been an absolutely amazing conversation to have met Sonali, the person, right? Not the title, not the role, not your past. You're not defined by any of it. Sonali as here and now, alive and waiting to embrace what's ahead of you in your own terms, in your own way, always dipping into the power that's inherent in you.
Always.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Honestly, Priya, I don't think I would have understood what a pie was. I had no idea a pie even existed, other than the equation.
So thank you for sharing that. And pi is power inherent. Pi as a symbol, mathematical symbol, shows infinity. And it's a philosophy that's very close to my heart that all of us have inherent power. And sometimes we don't see it, sometimes it's clouded, sometimes others don't let us see it. But here's a call out for everyone. Just remember you have it, right? Just remember in difficult times, remember you have it and connect with that. And your own inner wisdom will guide you where you need to be. So thank you so much, Sonali, for being part of the Five Project. And I know we've done a lot of work together and grateful for all that. And we'll continue to be connected and working together. On that note, we bring this episode to a close. But here's a call out to everybody. We have such tremendous, extraordinary powers within ourselves, and we lead extraordinary lives. So we hope that through the Pi Project, it inspires anyone who's listening to connect to their power inherent and continue to lead extraordinary lives. The world needs more such stories. Thank you very much, and we're signing off.